When a couple gets in an argument, usually one of them ends up sleeping on the couch or in another room. But what if instead of getting in an argument to go and sleep in another room, what if you both agree to do that? What if sleeping in another room is actually the solution and not the consequence? It's an interesting thing to think about, and I'm excited because today we are going to dive into that. You see, when you sleep with a partner, one or both of you may snore, toss and turn, steal the blankets, kick each other. That can really interrupt your night's rest. Today, we are going to be speaking with someone who has a husband of 13 years and they sleep in separate bedrooms. My name is Emma. I'm with Sleep Advisor. I am coming to you from beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. It is a little chilly today, so we are just staying nice and warm. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know in the comments where you are on this beautiful day. We'd love to hear from you and see who's joining us. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce today's guest. Her name is Sophia Hyde. She is a Ziegler certified life coach who specializes in helping her clients reduce stress, create more peace in their lives. She enjoys writing on her blog, sophiahyde.com, about the messy and awkward moments of her life. She resides in Plant City, Florida, with her husband of 13 years and her two small children. Hi, Sophia. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, it's great to be here today.
So, kind of fun. Sophia and I are loosely related.
Yeah,
Very loosely.
I don't know. I'm not really good at those terms, but I think it would be cousins twice removed. So my
Okay.
mom's brother, that'd be my uncle,
Mhm.
his brother-in-law is your husband's dad. So somebody
Okay.
can write that down and figure it out.
Figure out, draw a map. And so maybe second cousins to my
So
husband.
basically, your husband's dad
Yeah,
married my aunt through marriage's brother.
right. Okay,
How about
so
this? Your husband and I share the same blood cousins.
right, right. So loosely. There's no blood relation between
Yeah.
myself and you, but
Yeah.
regardless, I'm super happy that you're here today.
Yeah.
So today we are going to explore whether sleeping in separate bedrooms can actually help to improve your sleep. So you and your husband sleep in separate bedrooms, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's quite funny. It didn't happen intentionally. It happened out of practicality.
Huh.
So I'll kind of tell the story of
Yeah.
how we ended up in that situation. So the what ended up happening is when I got pregnant, we'd been married for 7 years.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to be a breastfeeding mom. And we heard all these parents talk about how you never get sleep when you're the parent of small children. And that just sounded really awful. So I had this bright idea. I babysat one time for a family when I was a teenager who kept a futon next to the crib so that as they took shifts, somebody could just sleep in the room. So that
Yeah.
like stuck with me. And so when I had a baby, I said, I have an idea. Let's just keep a bed in the same room as the baby. And I'll just sleep there because why do we need two sleep deprived parents? Why don't you always have solid rest? You can't help because I'm breastfeeding. So let me do the whole like wake up in the middle of the night thing, and
Yeah.
then you be the sane one in the relationship. And the agreement we had was you take care of me and I'll take care of the baby. So he made sure that we had food and that that I got to focus on rest and focus on the baby. And he carried the weight of the house, and I did the full time job of an
Sure.
infant. And then what ended up happening through that, I had no intentions of co-sleeping when I was pregnant. But as I began the breastfeeding journey,
Mhm.
I really ended up liking that lifestyle. And so I looked really, really deeply into safe co-sleeping. And really it's only the mother and the child, like the dad being in the bed's a whole other component. And so it
Yeah.
worked for us because it was only the two of us. And so I chose a safe co-sleeping. And so as she got older and could roll over, it was a mattress on the floor. And so it didn't make sense. So he took over our bedroom. And
Okay.
so our bedroom, I was never in it, just my clothes were. And
Right.
I slept with my daughter. We ended up just moving all of her like sleeping stuff out. And it was just me and her with a queen mattress on the bedroom floor. Well, I never wanted to let go of the co-sleeping. I really came to enjoy it. And to understand the context of that, the first 7 years of our relationship, the sleeping was not good. He's a big snorer. It's like, so I would like wake up in the middle of the night. My solution ended up becoming I would just plug his nose, and then he would wake up and it was just really not nice. But I would just wake up and be like, oh my God, you're snoring again. And he was going crazy trying to sleep with me because I'm a cuddler and I am a total comforter hog. Now I don't intentionally do that. It's just when I'm sleeping, I somehow just roll myself into a cocoon. And so very early in the relationship, I'm talking like a week into sharing a bed together, we got separate comforters because that was like not working. So we already slept with separate blankets.
Oh yeah, no, my husband and I have separate blankets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was like pre-kids. And then through all of this, my husband, who had terrible sleep, a couple weeks into the baby being born, was getting the best sleep of his life. He could keep the temperature really low. I don't like to freeze as much as he did. So he likes it like 64 and I like it at like 74. That's a big difference.
Oh wow. That's a big difference.
Yes. And so I was sleeping well and he was sleeping well. There was no longer these fights. And so it just became a new normal for us. I just slept with the baby. And then when the second child came along, we had to figure out what that was going to look like, because part of safe co-sleeping is my daughter couldn't sleep with me anymore. It's not safe to have a toddler in the bed with the baby. And so that wasn't going to work. And we were like, what are we going to do? And the best solution was we have a 3-bedroom home and we just took the office and we were like, some people can call it the guest room. We were like, let's not pretend that you sleep in the guest room. Let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it your room. Yeah. And let's go ahead and move all your clothes in there so that we don't have this whole like, I need my clothes while the other person's sleeping, annoying thing going on. So we moved all of his clothes in there. And it became me and the baby in the master bedroom, my daughter having her own room, and my husband having his. And just recently, my son's almost 2. We've now merged, and now there's a kid's room, my room, and his room. So I have the master bedroom, which has a king bed. The entire master closet is just mine. But the kids end up in the bed with me. So I have a king bed. The kids start off in their bunk beds, and sometime in the middle of the night end up in my bed. And we're snugglers. We enjoy it. And then Brandon has a freezing cold room all to himself. And it works. It works really well for our family.
That is awesome. I love how you, like, you're not like, oh, he sleeps in the guest room. It's his room.
But the kids call it that.
Yeah. I really like that. So actually, my husband and I tried this for about a week. And this was when, oh gosh, well, we were in college. It might have been finals week or something. And we were both like, we're not getting enough sleep. So Mark slept in the guest room and we slept so well. I could not believe it, but I missed him so much. So I'm curious how sleeping in separate, not just separate beds, but in separate rooms has affected your relationship.
It's not a problem at all. I get asked that all the time. And the people who have made the like judgment comments over the years, and now my daughter's 6. This has been going on 6 years, like this lifestyle for us. And so the people who have made the comments, they say, oh, I could never do that, because they make this assumption that because there's 2 different bedrooms that there's a lack of intimacy.
Sure.
And so a couple of things for us that it made no difference is, one, we never went to bed at the same time anyways. So for some couples, I don't like say that this is a solution for everybody. It's not. It's a solution for us. And in our world, it works. But for our entire marriage, he stays up later than I do. And so it was already, he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing. And then I say, okay, right, I either fall asleep on the couch crashing because we tried to watch a movie and I wasn't going to make it anyway, or I just say, all right, babe, love you, good night. And I was leaving and getting into bed, and then he would come in it later anyway. So
Yeah.
that didn't really make a difference. And then the
Yeah.
other side of it is we put the kids to bed usually around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then I typically crash. I like to go to bed at 10. And if I haven't gone to bed by 10, then some point between 10 and 11, I totally crash. If I don't go to bed on time, he will stay up till 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's normal for him. And I can't do that lifestyle. So what works for us is there's that window from 7:38 to 9:30, 10 o'clock that it's just the two of us and the kids are asleep in their room. And
Oh, I
sometimes,
value that time. I
yes,
love kids' bedtime because then it's adult time. Yeah.
yes. And the truth is, a couple nights a week we use it for quality time. Sometimes we'll just end up at the kitchen table talking. Like sometimes we actually play board games, but mostly we do our own thing because he is heavily introverted and I'm about 50% introverted. And so we both have a deep need for quiet time to be left alone. And so a couple times a week, we use that time to watch a movie together or do whatever we're going to do. And then most nights he has his ways of self-care and I have my ways of self-care, and we prioritize that as well.
Yeah. Oh, and that is so important. I know especially with, like, I'm very extroverted, and with, coronavirus and being stuck at home, um, I'm lucky that I still have a lot of people around me, but it was hard to not get out. But with introverts, I've noticed that they're having a hard time because they can't get away from anyone. They're stuck at home with people all the time, so they're not getting that time to recharge. And so, actually, that what you're saying is making more sense to me. Kind of having that introverted side because I've been able to see that more. That's something I don't think I would have understood without this situation we've been in,
Mm-hmm.
how that alone time can actually be really healthy.
Yes.
Yeah. So you said that a lot of people ask or say, "Oh, I could never do this."
Yeah.
There are some people who just feel like they couldn't do this, that would never work for them. But then there's also people who maybe they just can't give up their home office or their the playroom, whatever their extra room is being used for, or maybe size of their house does not allow for them to have separate rooms. Um, you said that this isn't the a one fit all solution, but I don't know. Do you have anything that you would say to people who say, "Oh no, this just won't work for me"?
Yeah. So first of all, it's not going to work for everybody. Like there are people where both of them mutually truly enjoy sharing a bed, and that's a very important part of their relationship together. And that's a huge percentage of couples. And so
Yeah,
that's a huge percentage of people where this would be detrimental for their relationship. It would cause
right.
separation, it would cause a lot loss of connection. It would be detrimental. I would never recommend that for somebody. But there are couples who I talk to who what I hear from them is, oh my God, that would be so amazing, but we could never. First of all, the third room is daddy's room / storage / office. So it's that like
Okay.
catch all. It's not like he's got it fully decked out with the furniture and it's all like ready for a magazine. It's just that third bedroom that kind of catches
Okay.
everything. And he happens to have all of his clothes and a queen size bed in there.
Okay.
But there's other stuff in there too. So he that's our like third room, but we call it dad's room because that's what the kids recognize as. There's the kids room, mom's room, dad's room, and that's what they know. And then there was some, what I say to people. What I find comical is how often I hear from people how like comments on, oh, That would be really good. I wish we could do that, but we could never. And when they say we could never, is they're actually fearing the societal judgment of being weird.
Yeah,
And neither my husband nor I care at all about being weird. We could have
I
a
love
hour-long conversation of all the things that we do that are not normal, and I'm so
Mhm.
okay with it. That holds no value in our either of our identity as individuals or as a couple, which is probably why we make a good couple because we're kind of weird. So and it's okay. Like we're okay with that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're okay with having this weird arrangement. And I think that for a lot of people who it may possibly be good for, the stigma is too much for them to handle. And so I
correct.
or this story that people tell themselves that it would be unhealthy because a lot of people assume that sleeping in separate beds will cause a lack of connection or lack of intimacy. Um, and my husband and I have a very, very strong marriage and strong relationship. And for us, it improved it because I will tell you what, two adults who are fully rested, sleep
Yeah.
answers a lot more problems than many
Oh my
things do.
gosh.
So a
Yeah.
good night's rest to us, a good
Mhm.
night's rest is the higher priority and the higher value over all the other things.
Yeah. Yes. No, that especially, when you have children, young children, babies who rob you of your sleep, once you and it doesn't even have to be children, it could be work or, just different stresses of life that robs you of sleep. And then once you get that good night's rest, you go, oh my gosh, life is not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, yeah, and I have to say that I may feel totally, completely differently about this conversation
Mhm.
in a few years when neither of my children want to share a bed with me anymore because I am a cuddler and my children are too. So right now it works for us because they love the cuddling and I love the cuddling, and Brandon just wants to be put in a bubble and left alone and not poked or prodded. And so for him, that works really well. And right now, I'm getting that need met through my children. And it's mutually beneficial for us. We all love the warm snuggles. And then daddy just goes and gets his good sleep in his bedroom.
Right.
When my children are too big to sleep with mom anymore and I don't have somebody to cuddle with, then I might feel completely differently about this. But so much of life, as I'm sure you have found as well, so much of life is about seasons. And
Yeah.
so I just acknowledge that this is the season we're in and it works for us
Mhm.
right now. And it's not like it's part of my identity, so it can't change later. It's
Right.
just the right fit for right
It's working right now.
now. Hmm.
It's yeah. You know, I if I'm being completely just transparent here, we we're kind of the same. I like to go to bed a little bit earlier. My husband likes to stay up, and honestly, a lot of nights he ends up sleeping on the couch. It's very normal for Mark to say, "I think I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight," and it used to bug me, but it doesn't anymore. Um, and I think maybe because I get better sleep, he gets better sleep. I don't know what his thing is with the couch. He just also, I think, just finds the couch really comfortable. But yeah, and that feels like a weird thing to say out loud because typically when you're like, "Oh, he slept on the couch last night," that means there was an argument. But actually, things are really good, and yeah, I don't know. You've got me thinking here, and going, maybe it's totally
It's
change.
okay to be different. I mean, trust me,
Yeah,
I can talk forever about some really weird things we do that are not normal, but I don't need to subscribe to what
yeah,
society says is supposed to be normal. And so, I mean, I'll just tell you like one quick thing, like to get out of debt, I drive a 2000 Toyota Avalon. So that means it's 20 years old, but that
mhm.
homegirl has 123,000 miles on it and she's still rocking. And
Hey,
we've got debt free, we're building the emergency fund. And if you look at our income,
no.
you would be like,
Mhm.
why is that woman from a two parent working household driving a 20-year-old car? And it's because I want to. when he like got
Yeah,
a fender bender, I was so mad. I really thought I was gonna lose my car. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh, thank God I can finally replace my 20-year-old car." And
right,
I
I
was
can
like,
get a new car.
no, I don't want to buy a new
Yeah.
car. Fortunately, it was an easy repair, but that was my first thought. Was not, is my husband okay? It was, oh God, I don't want a new car. I mean, he was okay. He was calling me and sounded
Because you
fine.
own the car is yours. So just kind of adapting this, don't care what people think about you. If something's working for you and it's making you happy, then it shouldn't matter. So as far as, yeah, sleeping in separate rooms, having separate sleeping areas, how would you suggest that people can adapt this concept to fit their lifestyle?
I think it's pretty simple. You just do what works for you. I think the most important question to ask is, are both people in the relationship getting a full night's rest? I think that's just so valuable. And if the answer is no, then ask why. And you know, it could be unrelated to your partner. For a while when Brandon wasn't sleeping well, we ended up realizing he cannot have caffeine in his diet after maybe 2 o'clock. If there's any caffeine in his system, he gets really bad sleep. But it took some experimenting to find out why was he not getting a solid night's sleep. And I think
Right.
if you just prioritize that and you dig and you look for enough solutions and experiment with enough things, you can find that. And it might be increased exercise. Sometimes more exercise in your life can help you sleep better. It might be that you need help in some area. I mean, there could be so many things. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
us, this was one of the solutions that worked. And I
One of
think
those.
my recommendation to somebody is just trial and error, figure out how to get a full night's rest on a very regular basis, and then make that your lifestyle. And it's okay.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
I love that. And so much that we do, like, okay, having caffeine. He can't have caffeine after 2 p.m. To have a Coke with dinner or something. It's a very you don't think about it. It's very habitual. You've done it so many times that so really diving into those what could be affecting your sleep.
Mhm.
I mean, sleep is so important and it is so undervalued in society. We put
So
everything else first.
I live in the South. So, yeah, for Brandon, no sweet tea with a dinner. He's going to say no.
Yep. Mhm.
No whiskey and Coke because that's his favorite drink. He's had to switch his drink to Sprite and Coke. He likes the way whiskey and Coke tastes better. But if it's at the house, we buy like the caffeine-free Coke, and that's like his
Oh, sure.
treat,
Yeah,
So yeah, there's different ways
yeah,
to get around it, but yeah, you just I think it's worth sacrificing whatever you have to put the value on sleep. I
right.
tell everybody sleep and drinking the appropriate amount of water every day. If you just change those
Ooh.
two things about your life, drink enough water and get
Mhm.
enough sleep, then go see if you still have all the other issues what that you might have been trying to treat with
Yeah.
medicine or cures or whatever. Go just start there
Mhm.
and see how much your quality of life improves and then solve the other problems.
Right, right. Well, this has just been very enlightening. It's been so cool to talk to you, and I feel like I've had some little aha moments of like, you know, this might actually not be the most crazy idea. This it really might not you might not be as weird as the rest of the world. Maybe the rest of the world are the ones, just not getting enough sleep and suffering for it. If anyone has any questions for our wonderful Sophia, please drop them in the comments before we sign off. This has been just fantastic. And Sophia, I want to mention again that you have your blog. Would
Yes.
you tell us
So
about?
if you also are weird, then you should follow my blog. So I love hearing other people's stories. So I'd love to hear from you. It's sophiahigh.com. And I have a couple of cool things going on right now on the site. So if you visit sophiahigh.com, you can download a free ebook that I wrote. And it is the guide on how to create peace in your life. It'll walk you through some really great exercises. So if you're struggling, I mean, sleep could definitely be it. Your physical health is definitely part of it. But there could be other components in your life that could be creating unrest. So if you feel stressed or unsettled or just something seems off right now and you need more peace in your life, go grab that free ebook. It's on there, sophiahyde.com. And I only a couple times a year, I open enrollment for my 12-week course and my membership group for people who are looking to grow and have more peace in their life together. And it's actually the 5-day window that it's open. So if somebody happens to see this between now and the end of the day, Monday, Memorial Day, the cart will close, but it's actually open right now. So if anybody wants to check it out, that info is also on the website right now.
Good to know. Good to know. Sophia, thank you for being here. Let's drop some hearts. Show Sophia some love. Thank you for joining us today. If you are watching this on a replay and you have questions for Sophia, we will do our best to get those answered for you. And go check out this, you said it's an ebook, right?
Yep.
Yeah, go check out her ebook. At Sleep Advisor, we also have an ebook going on right now too. It is 40, it's a free ebook on 40 sleep hacks to help you get a better night's rest. So head over to sleepadvisor.org to get that free ebook as well. Again, I'm Emma with Sleep Advisor. This has been Sophia Hyde. Everyone, have a great day and a great night's rest. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.